It occupies its own sort of quantum reality.
You insolent fools!
You're a lousy
The
shot.
lizard hose,
Pineapples? What the
the
fuck?
toilet spoon.
Mostly I was just baffled.
I just never know where the show's going to go, man.
Into the meat grinder.
What is with the fucking match?
That concludes the food segment of this episode.
Oh my god, you guys suck.
Ego trip cash grab.
When your expectations are already low.
So bad. It's good.
In this podcast, there's a violent death from a bad joke every 10 minutes. A cul-de-sac every 24 minutes. A joke every 3 minutes. And a bad joke every 18 seconds. Welcome to the blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Cobra Reni. No, wait, come back to me. I can do better than that. Along with...
We've never had a death in the first 30 seconds before.
Death in the first 30 seconds, along with Ben Cobra and Cobra Chad.
Are you the Cobra Commander?
No, Ben's Cobra Commander.
Okay.
You insolent fools!
There you go. Nice, dude. Very nice. That's right, folks. This week on the podcast, we have watched the 80s titular classic and now cult classic Sylvester Stallone movie, Cobra. And we're going to be having a conversation about that today. So put on your 4-point harness and let's go.
Strap in. So Ben, you threw your notes across the room? Is that how you feel about this?
No, I just put them down.
Okay.
Roughly.
It was a place. It was a placement.
You threw your notes across the room in the same way that Cobra threw the photos around while he was like beautiful minding in his apartment with a random slice of pizza.
Yes.
In his crime lab in his apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, with his Texas Instruments computer.
Yeah, that was great. Absolutely great.
He knocked on the door and kicked Kung Fury out of his apartment and went in there and sat down and did some studying.
Totally. Did some studying.
Yeah.
With his shades on at night.
Yeah. Come on up. I'm down the hall from the Pepsi sign.
Yeah. I got a little triangle pizza. And I cut it with a scissors and I never take my gloves off. Oh my God. So much to love here. So much to love more here. Where do you start with a movie that's so rich in, really everything? Where do you start? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. So just initial thoughts and high level. I didn't remember a hell of a lot about this movie. I don't know if I've seen it since the 80s. I remembered his sick ass, 50 Mercury coupe.
Totally, man.
That car is super sweet, but I didn't remember a hell of a lot about like what was going on in the film, and now I can see why, because there isn't a hell of a lot going on in the film.
That's true.
Wow. Yeah.
There is zero explanation for anything that's happening in this movie. Like nothing. Like no backstory on anything. Like we don't know why the New Order wants to kill people. We have no idea why they're hanging out in a warehouse clanging axes together. Like just none of it. There's no motivation for anything that's happening on screen, and very little actual dialogue on screen to explain anything. So
yeah, I would say, just to comment on what you're saying, Ben, the film, the running time is about 1 hour and 24 minutes. And my current feeling is that the other 35 minutes that would have brought it to 2 hours was left on the cutting room floor. And that was all of the explanations of why everything happened, man.
Are you joking? Because that actually is what happened.
Yeah, essentially.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, that was a total just goof around, whatever.
Yeah. No, I read a little bit about it, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they shortened it down twice.
Yeah.
Because initially the movie had an X rating.
Oh, come on.
So they had to cut out like I think about 40 minutes of action and blood and guts. to get it to an R rating. And then apparently they cut it down even more because Top Gun had come out and they wanted to, like, I don't know, try and keep the film time around the same or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's quite possible that there's a lot that we're missing just because of all that editing.
Holy shit.
But it's also possible that we're not missing anything because Sly did write the thing. So
yes,
but it is right, and it is based on the novel Fair Game, which I, of course, have never read.
Right. But I mean,
yeah,
it's, I don't know. I mean, this, a woman and a detective end up teaming up because the woman is being chased is one thing, but I guess in the book she's being chased by a hitman.
Okay.
Where she actually witnessed a crime or whatever. And this, it's like, a group of, I don't know, Satanists or something.
there is like a satanic sort of vibe going on, even though they never say that. And there's no devil imagery, but I get a very satanic vibe as well.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of like Satan panic going on at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, the 80s was all about devil worshippers.
Yes, they're everywhere. They're abducting kids. There's all kinds of stuff going on, which none of it turned out to be true.
Blood rituals and, Golden Child came out. That had a heavy satanic kind of twinge to it.
Brother Nuncy.
Yeah, there's so my high level on this movie is I didn't realize all that cutting took place, but this movie it occupies its own sort of quantum reality of being deliciously terrible and really pretty awesome at the same time. And as I went through on my second viewing, now I'm not like Ben, I have watched it since the 80s, but I definitely have not watched it in a while. And there was some stuff I forgot. But as I was watching it on the second go through, like there's a lot of it that's really well done. And you could see that in the film. And now knowing that it was cut down, I really think if it had that extra 35 minutes in it, it would have probably been even better.
Yeah, probably.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that maybe a lot of the cutting was what had to do with making it seem so disjointed and, giving it the moniker of a, quote, terrible movie. But, there's a lot of cool things going on.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Which I'll get into.
I'd love to see the full X-rated version.
Dude, I want to see. There needs to be a director's cut of this movie.
Yeah, evidently there is a work print that has been bootlegged that is basically the whole thing, but I think it's really hard to get a hold of.
Too bad.
Yeah, that is too bad.
But I don't think it would be Citizen Kane. I think it, like you said, Benny, is like they cut 40 minutes of like head explosions out of it.
I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't insinuating that level of film, Chad. But yeah,
no, I know. I'm just talking shit.
Yeah, but it might have like the level of storytelling needed to fill it out. Perhaps say as much as something like Commando.
Yeah.
Where it is like it is a frag fest, but there actually is a motive, and there's stuff going on that seems to sort of at least make some kind of sense.
Yeah. Okay, so some quick pedigree information about this film. It was released in 86, $25 million budget, worldwide gross $160 million. Now, this movie was directed by George P. Cosmatos, who was also the token director on Tombstone, if you guys remember from our Tombstone episode.
I do.
Yes.
And allegedly the token director of this as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, Sly directed it evidently.
Again, not surprising.
I think not surprising. And I feel like George kind of ended up, that was like his thing, man.
Hey, man. You want to pay me to do that? I'll do that.
A token director in Hollywood. Hey, man, you want to pay me to sit around and sip coffee all day? Well, and pretend like I'm in charge? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Let's, where should we go to first? You want to just kind of start at the beginning?
I haven't high leveled.
Oh, I thought you did. Sorry, my bad.
That's
my
okay.
bad. Go ahead, buddy.
Are you done with the pedigree stuff, though?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, high level for me, riffing off your quantum reality that this movie exists in, the more I watched this for the first time, by the way, so the more I watched it, the more convinced I was that Sly Stallone went back in time in order to make a GTA movie. So this movie is actually GTA Vice City, the movie. Because like so many moments in this fucking thing were like missions in GTA, and
Oh yeah.
and especially towards the end with the like truck where he's in the back of a truck shooting dudes on motorcycles. It was just like a bunch of NPCs just like randomly riding up just to get shot, you know? Like it just felt like a video game, and it was so funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I don't believe we've seen such motorcycle wipe outage since the days of Chips. Like the amount of motorcycles wiping out was just awesome.
It was amazing. So my high level is it's a GTA movie, and it was entertaining. I've never been much of a Sly Stallone guy. Like I've always been more of an Arnie guy.
Yeah, same here.
It probably has a lot to do with
Same.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say it probably has a lot to do with my age, just because like I was a little too young for the Rockies and stuff when they came out, whereas I was like the perfect age for a lot of the like Arnie stuff. But I can definitely see why people like this.
Yeah.
And I didn't dislike it at all. But, you know, compared to like a Raw Deal or a Commando, I definitely would, you know, I think Raw Deal was a better flick, but it was still pretty good.
I don't know, man. I mean, you did choose Demolition Man, which was our first sort of foray into like terribly great movies. And I think that I was actually going to say that if this is his Raw Deal, I think this movie is probably better than Raw Deal, as much of an Arnold fan as I am.
I don't know.
But I don't know. It's close, man. I mean, this definitely made more money than Raw Deal.
I mean, a 17-foot tall Austrian pretending to be an Italian mafioso is pretty fucking good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at it from that angle, yes, absolutely. I mean, this movie he was totally taking himself very seriously, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
And just a note about Sly, like, starting with Rocky, he was like that was a big deal and a big film, and he got a lot of accolade and cred for doing Rocky, and really all the other ones too, man. And he even has brought the character back in Rocky Balboa and Creed 2, and really rejuvenated it, because Creed is a really good movie, man, and Rocky Balboa was a really good movie too. Like. He's actually a really good actor and writer, and really just creator altogether. I mean, Copland is one of my favorite films, and that came out in about '97, and it was the first like kind of really serious thing I think that he had done since the string of '80s and '90s action movies. And he gained like a lot of extra weight to play that part, and the character had his hearing was gone in one ear, and he did a really good job of that movie. That's a great movie. So Sly, I guess I think a lot of people kind of wrote him off like 80s 90s. It's like Cobra, Demolition Man, Rambo, like da 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 da. But when you watch First Blood, like that's not a throwaway action movie. That's like a really pretty serious film about a soldier returning from Vietnam and the reaction of the general populace to him, and how he reacts having been in combat for so long. That's really what that movie's about. That's a really excellent film as well. And then Rambo sort of takes it to like the
Commando
80s
level.
action movie. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were parts in there about, rescuing POWs and all that stuff, but it was definitely way more over the top than First Blood.
Yeah.
And of course, First Blood.
Every time
What?
you say over the top, I always think that you're talking about the movie Over the Top, and I
The
get kind of
movie,
pumped.
sorry. Yeah, totally. We got to talk about that movie just because Robert Loggia is in it.
You say that every time.
I hadn't picked my So Bad It's Good, and that was a serious contender over the top.
Nice.
I figured it might be good to keep the Sly thing going for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done a bunch of Arnies. We might as well do a bunch of Slys. I mean, the great thing about First Blood, too, I was going to mention, Ben, is that it has, of course, Brian Dennehy's in it. I just saw him down at the coffee shop the other day.
In the supermarket, buying coffee.
So the opening of this movie, is like a kind of a slow pan around macro of Stallone's signature Cobra emblazoned gun.
All while doing the Escape from New York crime stats.
Exactly.
Which are totally ridiculously high even for the 80s.
Totally ridiculously high. at any rate, so that's how we open with the crime stats, and it's super serious and all that sort of thing. And then we go right into Marco Rodriguez walking into that grocery store
And deciding to shoot up a bunch of produce.
Exactly. That was like my first note. I was like, the dude wastes so much watermelon produce in shopping carts.
So amazing.
The best was the peanuts.
Yeah. Just a giant mountain of peanuts.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what that was. It was a giant mountain because the peanuts went everywhere.
Everywhere.
It was funny that you say that, Ben, because my favorite thing was when there's like a woman with a cart and he starts coming down the aisle and she like freaks out and runs away and he shoots the cart with the shotgun and the thing leaps like 4 feet into the air. Like, I was like, okay, whatever.
So I just think it's so funny that they had to cut 40 minutes of violence out of this because it was a rated X, and then like the first few minutes he doesn't hit anything other than watermelons and peanuts. It's like, what's going on?
And then that guy who he's like, go,
you're free,
run. Yeah, that's it. You're free.
And then the guy spends like 2.5 minutes slowly walking down the aisle. It's a good movie making right there.
Yeah, no, that was a full on like an old man shuffle. He was like, and then he takes off and then he blows him away.
And then they call in the Cobra.
That's right. And then we got, I didn't mention the cast in the pedigree, but there's a lot of great actors in this movie, surprising as that may be. And, we get a lot of them straight away. His partner, Gonzalez, Reni Santoni, he's been in a zillion million things.
The only thing I recognized him from was Seinfeld when he played.
Yeah.
He played the Poppy, yeah.
Yeah, he played Poppy in Seinfeld, but he played one of the NBC execs in Private Parts with Howard Stern.
Yeah, okay.
He's done, tons of TV stuff over the years. He played, ironically enough, he was in Dirty Harry in 1971.
All right.
And Andrew Robinson, who plays Monte, played the Scorpio Killer in Dirty Harry in 1971. And that was Robinson's first huge role, and it was also Santoni's first big role. So, kind of interesting little tidbit there.
And you could see Stallone being like, I want those guys, because I want it to be like Dirty Harry. And you're like, all right, man, we'll go get them.
Yeah, Dirty Cobra Harry.
Dirty Mary, right? So his name's Marion Cobretti.
Dirty Mary. I love that.
Dirtbag Mary.
And they couldn't secure funding for the movie, so they had like 75 product placements to get the budget over the line.
Including Toys R Us for some fucking weird reason.
Yeah, a full 30-second Toys R Us spot.
Yeah, the Toys R Us placement. I don't know what it is. It's just like that ad. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing because I remember those ads. Like it just
definitely
jumps right out at you. And the volume on the damn TV in his quote unquote home crime lab is so loud, dude.
Oh, I keep my gun cleaning paraphernalia in an empty carton in my refrigerator,
right next to the pizza.
I could have swore he pulled both of those things out of the freezer. I was like, what is he pulling out of the freezer?
It might have been. Maybe he likes his pizza extra cold.
Yeah, it was the freezer, man. I'm pulling a Kev, and I've got this thing on silent in the background.
I like that ice cube crunch.
Takes out his sewing scissors to cut a triangle of pizza. I don't know, like...
I like that ice cube crunch.
What I love about this movie is like how trope-tastic it is. And because it's 86, like it wouldn't surprise me if half of this stuff is prototroping out and the other half is, copying Dirty Harry or other movies like it. But him going into that supermarket in the beginning and just like being a complete jackass and like walking around and drinking Coors beer and just, it's so goddamn funny, man.
Oh my God, it's great.
Warm.
Yeah, piss warm Coors.
Yeah, very, very warm. And I remember drinking warm Coors when I was starting my drinking career as a young lad, and it was like the most disgusting thing ever.
I've had that experience as well, and yes, it is foul.
Oh, it's gross. Like, it actually turned me off to beer for so long because I was like, ugh.
Usually the way, man.
Yep. So anyway, he goes in, so let's back up because like we've got the square-jawed Art LaFleur playing the captain. Perfect casting. That guy's been in a million things. And then we have the annoying Andrew Robinson was so good at playing an annoying dick, and he did it so well in so many things over the years. But I need to pause right here just to focus on Robinson for 1 second, because Andrew Robinson played probably, in my opinion, one of the best characters in a TV show that I'm fairly certain all of us have watched, and that would be Deep Space Nine, as he played the Cardassian Garrick for the entire run. And Garak was easily one of my favorite characters.
Oh, shit. Was Garrick the Tailor?
Yes, Garak was the tailor who was the former member of the Obsidian Order. And easily...
I just love how nerdy it is. Was he the... it was the Obsidian... I love it.
I love how Chad's like stepping back and looking in on our nerd-filled podcast and being like, wow... we're really nerdy. It's like, no shit, dude.
I know. I just get a kick out of it sometimes.
No, I do too, man. I do too. If you really want to see a showcase of Andrew Robinson's acting ability, watch Deep Space Nine, because Garak was one of the best characters on it, hands down.
It's been so long since I've seen Deep Space Nine.
Oh my God. DS9, in not to go down too crazy of a cul-de-sac, but DS9, in my opinion, is one of, if not the best Star Trek shows.
Word.
That's what everybody says, but I couldn't get over the fact that they were stationary.
Yeah, I understand that. But like it was, and I think it got overlooked a lot because of that exact fact, Ben. But, you know, at the end of season 2 into 3, they get the Defiant and they start traveling around, going through the wormhole, and it really just starts to... It starts to cook.
In true Everybody Dies style, we're 4 seconds into the movie. We've gone through Sly Stallone's entire IMDb, and now we're talking about Star Trek.
Hey, this is what the people clamor for every week. Or possibly not. Yeah, Andrew Robinson, great actor. Art LaFleur, perfect. And it's just the best when he goes, call the Cobra.
Right?
It's like, okay, what? Call the Cobra? Give me a break.
They're like 10 seconds into negotiating. He's like, I'm so sick of this shit. Just call the Cobra.
And then there's Monte, you know, disagreeing with him every single time.
Every other
Cobra's
scene
name comes up.
I wouldn't have done it this way.
I just want to say I don't agree with your tactics. I just want to go on record as saying I don't agree that you're here.
Spoiler alert, one of my nuggets is Monte was supposed to be the head of the cult the whole time, and they ended up cutting it.
That would have been sick.
Yeah.
Then we would have had, like, you know, that would have been seriously cool, man, because we already have Lee Garlington as the insider in the police station, and she's like the number 2 of the organization, and it's like we know that it's her. So if the reveal had ultimately been that Monte was the leader of the cult, that would have like catapulted this film into a totally different echelon. Agree?
Yeah, might have made sense.
That's what I mean, Ben, is it might have made sense.
But you know, like in regard to Monte and, you know, so many of those 80s movies that revolve around the main character being like, you know, the no-nonsense cop, like Marion Cobretti. It's like the cop is a dick. Like that, you know, like, oh, I can't follow the rules or we're going to lose because they're not following the rules. But it's like, you know, Nobody wants to encounter a cop like that. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to encounter like a cop that's not going to follow the law. You know, so it's like you're rooting for the guy that's like, you know, essentially a vigilante style cop, and we're like poo-pooing the by the book, you know, normal regular cop.
Yeah. No, you're right. And just the interplay between him and Monte through the whole film is just great. And I'm really just talking about the dialogue is great.
I can't deal with all these rules and regulations.
It's like, I'm sorry, buddy.
But I didn't want to say this yet, but like there's so many throwaway like lines and responses by Stallone, you know, and you know, there's Monte is always like, you know, I wish you'd just let my team handle this. You know, and Stallone's like, you don't see what I see. And then it's like huge pregnant pause and everybody's like, right, we don't. You know, like he doesn't give any explanation. Like when they're in the police station at one point, like the chief, who's awesome, man. You know, he's totally like the ball busting, like, you know, God damn it, Cobretti, what the hell is going on around? You know, like that kind of shit. And like he said something and Stallone's like, I just know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just take your word for it then, shall we?
You know, you got an attitude problem, right, Cobretti? Yeah, but just a little one.
But it's just a little one. Probably there's some great puns in this movie, and that's one of them. But at any rate, yeah, there's a lot of throwaway lines like this. Like when they're driving in the truck later, and she's like, "Why were you fighting with that policeman?" And he's like, "They just don't see what I see." And then, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you gotta have faith.
Okay, dude.
I'm like, okay. She's like fighting for her life. There's like a literal army of like possibly white supremacists, possible Satan worshipers, definitely psychos chasing after you to try to kill her and, you know, disembowel her. And you're like, hey, you know, you gotta have faith. It's like, okay, you know, whatever.
It's like,
dude.
are you reading pages from the Dalai Lama quote calendar or something, dude? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, he had it taped on the inside of the windshield in the truck.
Yeah, exactly.
He was reading it. Oh man, there's a lot of funny things here. So at any rate, you know, we get Call the Cobra. He comes into the grocery store. This place is a mess. And he drinks the beer. And then he does like, I just love the next bit, dude. When he picks up the CB radio handset in the back, and his opening line is, "Hey, dirtbag,
You're a lousy shot."
I don't like lousy shots."
And then he jumps out of the goddamn freezer to shoot him.
Yeah, I'm not. You're like, how the fuck did that? How did he get in there?
Exactly. How did he get into the freezer? Yeah, that was great. And if I could just wind back for one quick second, like when he says "Call the Cobra," and then he comes screaming into the parking lot in his super loud, you know, Merc, and he jumps out of the car. The interplay is so like trope-tastic between him and Gonzalez. He's like, "How bad is it?" He's like, "It's bad." It's like, okay, here we go, man. So anyway, back to the cooler. Go.
The best line in that whole thing is when the when the guy that's taking the hostages is like, "I have a bomb," and Stallone's like, "I'll blow the place up," you know, and Stallone's like, "Go ahead, I'll shop here."
Yeah, exactly. But I also noticed too, Ben, that like in that beginning scene, he's contradicting himself like back and forth, like with his whole interplay with Marco Rodriguez, who has been in like a zillion million things, movies, shows. He's had a ton of bit parts on all these things. You could see him all over the place in the last 20 years. But, you know, he walks in and he says, "Hey, dirtbag, you're a lousy shot. I don't like lousy shots. You wasted a kid. Now it's time to waste you." So, like, he's like, "I'm going to waste you." And then when he busts through the cooler, he's like, "You want to talk? I'll talk." And then the very next line is like, "I don't deal with psychos." So it's like, are you negotiating or what? And if you are negotiating, it's the most interesting tactic you're taking.
He's trying to gaslight the guy, you know, like
Yeah, exactly, man. You know, he's like, "You want to talk? I'm going to waste you."
the poor guy's like, "Wait, I knew I was crazy, but I didn't think I was that crazy."
Yeah, exactly. "I don't deal with psychos. I put them away."
You want to talk? Talk.
I'm a sucker for conversation.
Yeah. And arguably the most like iconic line is, "I don't deal with psychopaths. I put them away. You're the disease and I'm the cure."
So bad. It's good.
And then, yeah, it's so bad, man.
I just want to throw in here that the gunplay in this movie was spectacularly bad.
Oh my God, yeah.
Spectacularly bad. I mean, I know we're spoiled now, like people like Keanu going to like gun fu classes and, you know, just everything is hyper realistic or yeah, I guess hyper realistic is good, like realistic, but over the top realistic. And that shit is just like, so they plied it out of an episode of Chips or something. Like it's just so bad through the whole movie. And the action sequences are so atrocious. They're so poorly shot. They're so poorly cut together. Like, it's almost impossible to figure out what the fuck is going on besides a bunch of shooting. Just throughout the film, I'm just like, what the like, who edited this thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, the gunplay is silly for sure.
It is, and like later on with the cabin shootout, like they all start coming in on him, and I noted that Stallone did. He's shooting through a window at moving motorcycles. 4 shots, 4 motorcycles down. I was like, okay, like it was. Yeah, totally ridiculous.
With an SMG, that probably doesn't have probably doesn't have the range to hit from that distance. So.
No, well, those were actually, no, to be fair, those were with his Cobra emblazoned .45 handgun that was later.
Yes.
It wasn't until he discovered that the cabin had a skylight in it, which I couldn't believe, and he pulls up the SMG and shoots the guy that's on the roof. Then that's when the SMG really comes into play in that scene. But yeah, you're right.
I stand corrected.
Sorry. That was a super nerdy nitpick. Anyway, getting back to so many freaking great moments in this movie. Like when he pulls up to his house and that freaking carload
below riders.
He pushes the guy, and the guy gets out, and it's so like stereotypical Latin American from the 80s. Just
yeah.
Oh my God, ridiculous. And then he like says, it's bad for your health.
Yeah, did you like being the first time I've seen this? Like, I just every single scene was like a new thing for me. I was just like, oh my God, or cracking up, or that was ridiculous, or whatever. But at the end of the scene, he pulls the guy's rips the guy's shirt, and I was like, he's wearing a wire. Did you guys pick up on that one?
I have picked up on it in the past, but I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about it. But yeah, it's just his mic.
Yeah, it's his mic from the film, from shooting the film.
Exactly.
And I was just like, that's okay, cool. Leave that in there, no worries. Yeah. Oh, it was probably ad-libbed shirt ripping, but I just love that they're like, nobody will notice. It's fine.
Yeah, Stallone was probably like, if I rip his shirt, yeah.
That was probably the thought process that went on for sure. I really enjoyed the Miami setting of this, though. Like, it totally had that Vice City vibe, but I really dug the Miami action.
Yeah, it was in LA though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was the thing that was so crazy. Is that Chad's right. It is set in LA, and it has a very like a Vice City, Tommy Vercetti kind of thing going on.
I missed that it was in LA, but
I was thinking more San Andreas, but Vice City, sure, yeah, 80s, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, sure. Either way. Yeah, it was so yeah, one of the notes I had in the beginning was, what is with the fucking match? He doesn't smoke.
He's just saving up for that last scene where he lights the match.
I guess so, man.
You have the right to remain silent. He's holding it in his mouth the entire time just for that one, like later on in the movie, I'm going to cover a guy with gasoline and then I'm going to light it like a match and throw it at him. I'm going to tell him you have a right to remain silent.
My favorite thing about this episode so far is Ben's liberal use of the Stallone impression. I applaud it. Can
we circle back to the absolutely? Because having never seen this, I thought absolutely was going to be like the catchphrase, but I don't think anyone said it ever. What was the absolutely that we've been saying for like 15 episodes?
Oh.
I thought that was from this.
I don't think that... No.
Absolutely. Wait. What is that from, though?
I don't know.
I thought it was from Cobra.
That's what I thought.
Say it once.
No, it's not from Cobra, and I don't remember what it's from, but it might be from like Rocky or something, man.
Maybe.
It's highly likely that it's from Rocky.
Fuck, we got to figure that out.
We need to figure that out, exactly. Toot sweet.
James Tiberius Google on that one. We'll follow that one up.
James T. Google, present and accounted for. So just like focusing on the match for a second, like he doesn't smoke. He has the match in his mouth the entire time, except, here's what kind of a nerd I am. I rewound this about 5 times to watch it. He sits down with the pizza box and the egg container. Opens the pizza, cuts the square with the scissors, never takes his gloves off, flips on the TV, and then there's a quick cut, Like he's got the match in his mouth, and then there's a quick cut, and the match is just completely gone. He doesn't take it out of his mouth; it's just gone, and he's eating the pizza, and then that's it. The match is in his mouth for the rest of the movie because we never see him. We never see him eat another meal. Everybody else eats, but he doesn't eat because he's Cobra. He doesn't need to eat. No, sorry. He eats the apple. He eats the apple with Brigitte and Nielsen. Yeah.
You want a bite?
And he even says to her, because there's like, he's doing this funny thing about food throughout this whole movie, like ragging on Gonzalez about how unhealthy his eating is, you know, and he's eating the apple, and Gonzalez comes in, he's like, come on, we got to go. And he's like, hey, you want me to help you with that bag? And she's like, no, I got it. And he's like, you want a bite? I was like, are you serious, dude? Come on. And the apple is like 3/4 of the way eaten. Why would you offer somebody a bite of your apple? I would never do that.
That concludes the food segment of this episode, everybody.
No, we're not even close to done with that.
Not even close. You got a life jacket?
Hey.
Why? Your French fries are drowning.
Oh, yeah.
Or the burger, when he pulls the fake burger off the counter right before that, and he's like, hey, it's a family meal.
Your order's up.
So terrible, man. You know. Hey, Gonzalez, you know, you're eating too much sugar. Why don't you try something natural like a prune, raisins? After they do that, like the super tropey, you know, we can't call you on the phone or meet you at the, you know, LAPD headquarters. We're going to meet you in a random parking lot in the middle of nowhere to tell you that we need you to do what you do best and hunt down this horrible killer and take him down. You know, like I feel like that always happened in these movies around that time. It was like, you know, we can't meet you at the department, so we're going to meet you in a parking lot somewhere, you know?
Right. It was like
and be like, get it done.
It's like filming a scene on the roof of a parking garage was a prerequisite for it's like 80s cop films.
Yes. Yep. So anyway, I have a preset cul-de-sac that I'm going to go down. It's going to be, I don't know, possibly many deaths, and quite possibly the nerdiest thing I've ever done on this show, but I'm going to do it.
Oh, boy.
Well, let's hear it.
No time with the present.
Okay, so this is going to require a wind back to the beginning of the film. When he walks out of the grocery store, one of the reporters gets in his face and starts saying, like, you know, doesn't everybody have rights? You know, who are you to go in there and shoot him? You know, like really gets in his grill, right? And then he grabs the reporter and he drags him over to the gurney, pulls the sheet back. You know, he's like, tell it to their family, you know. So I'm watching this movie, right?
It was so hard not to make a Gurney Halleck joke right there.
Oh, God damn it. Why didn't you?
I don't know. You were on a roll.
Well, for the first couple of minutes, I couldn't stop thinking about Ben saying, my 9-string ballet set, which I couldn't do. I was editing the show last week, and I could not stop laughing at that. It was so great, man. So anyway, he drags the guy over to the gurney and shows him the face, and he says what he says. And I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, I know who that is, because this is the kind of nerd I am. And sure enough, that guy is Joe Fowler. Who? You guys are like,
no idea.
Who the fuck is that?
Who the fuck is Joe Fowler?
Exactly. Joe Fowler.
Everybody Kevs, everybody.
Everybody Kevs. You would know Joe Fowler because Joe Fowler is like a super powered infomercial host. Like that's where he ended up going. That's where I remembered him from. So
from like a ShamWow commercial?
Right.
No. It's way better than that, Chad.
Slap Chop?
What was that guy's name? Billy Mays? Billy Mays here.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Billy Mays. So Joe Fowler started doing infomercials. Firstly, I looked up his. So last night when I was watching my round 2 on this, I think it's just, I feel it's important to share this. I stopped the movie when Joe Fowler came on, and I spent 45 minutes reading about Joe Fowler and watching Joe Fowler infomercials until I finally came up for air and realized what I was doing and what time it was, and then I resumed Cobra.
That's amazing.
I was like, oh, right, this is the actual thing that I'm supposed to be watching right now. So Joe Fowler, when you look up his IMDb credits, almost every single one of them is a reporter in a film. Like reporter number 6 or reporter number 3. And he went on to do all these infomercials.
You're right. You're so fucking dead.
I might be. I don't care, Chad. Kill me again. I have a great Joe Fowler video. I have a bunch of them saved in a playlist for the show. I'm going to send them to you to put into the show notes. One of them is really, really great. It's like this quantum redux this guy did on one of Joe Fowler's infomercials.
I thought you were going somewhere totally different with that cul-de-sac, man.
I know you did. I know. So Joe Fowler did. He did the infomercial for Gator Grips.
Oh yeah, totally.
And
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The grill disc, the Flavor Master,
dude.
Metrin.
This is the ultimate everybody Kevs. The grill disc. Gator grips.
Soldiering on into the meat grinder.
He did Hang Right. He did the Roto Razor. He did Gorilla Green.
How many of these do you have?
Express. Hold on, I got a short list here.
That's a short list?
Yeah, the lizard hose, the toilet spoon, the toilet spear.
Are you just making this shit up?
No, these are actual infomercials. I watched half of them last night. No.
Is that like a poop knife? Is that like the fabled Reddit poop knife?
No. The toilet spear is not the fabled poop knife.
Everybody has a poop knife.
And then he did. I don't know. Maybe the most famous one is the turbo cooker, which was a.
Oh my god, dude! This is a massacre.
The turbo cooker was a superpowered team up with Kathy Mitchell.
I can't believe you're still going.
I know. I can't either. Okay, so that's my diatribe about Joe Fowler. I'm done. We can move on.
You're... Fuck it. I just never know where the show's going to go, man. When you were like, yeah, he was like, this guy's got rights, that guy's got rights. I thought you were going to go to the, like, 80s Reagan crime, kind of like geopolitical state of affairs and like kind of like
oh wow
the 3 strikes you're out style crime, thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like, so anyways, the slap chop. Fucking what?
Instead, I start talking about infomercials because infomercials hold a very special place in my heart. Because when I was a kid, I used to watch infomercials, and I was like, I want to do that. That's what I like.
Really?
I mean, as well as, like, I would watch these action movies like Cobra, and I would be like, oh, man, that's what I want to do. But then I would watch those infomercials, and I would be like, I love that. I want to be that guy.
I would love to see you on an infomercial, man. I think you'd be amazing at it.
I'll tell you something, man. We will make a faux or not faux infomercial for the show.
If we ever have merch, man, we should do infomercials for it.
Oh my god, yes.
Totally.
So at any rate, that's my Joe Fowler thing. I know that's not where you thought I was going.
To fulfill your lifelong dream. We're not even going to make merch to make money. We're just going to do merch so that you can fulfill your lifelong dream of starring in an infomercial.
Exactly. Oh my god. Okay, so we can continue now.
Just jumping back to the Chad, you're talking about the 80s thing, the 3 strikes you're out, and Reagan. Did you guys notice? I think Gonzalez calls Cobra from Cobra's office.
Oh yeah,
and there's like a giant picture of Ronald Reagan in there.
Oh really? I missed that. That's awesome.
Is there really?
Yeah,
I missed that too, man.
Yep.
I love that scene though, where it's like, hey, I'm at the office. What did you want? He's like, why are you at the office? They called me. It's just like, the old double 1-2.
The old switcheroo.
Thank you. I don't know what the hell I was saying. I died.
No, it's all right. I know, yeah. Well, headquarters called me and told me you wanted me to come by here. The days before cell phones.
Right. So we're kind of skirting around the intro of Flava Flav's wife, also known as Sly's wife at the time, I guess.
Yeah, at the time.
She's married to Flavor Flav?
Yes. Or was. I don't know if she still is.
Oh, my God. Wow. No, I didn't know that. I probably knew it and forgot.
Yeah, what an introduction. That there is a montage that happens.
Oh, the robot montage?
in that part, and it is the most confusing montage I've ever I've seen this movie before, and I was, for the first, 15 seconds of the montage, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why are there robots?
Well, the best part about the montage is that it's intercut with Stallone shaking everybody down,
doing some
because that's right after the parking lot scene when Art LaFleur's like, every sicko in this city, go out there and shake him down, find him. And he's like, and if I find him, do what you do best. Take him down.
I'm going to take you down to Chinatown.
Yeah, exactly. So deliciously terrible. The whole robot photo shoot is just bizarre, man.
Yeah, but they don't show Brigitte Nielsen getting pictures taken in front of the robots at first. They just start flashing pictures of robots at you.
To the music, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, man.
Yeah, I saw a YouTube video that had a whole bunch of the stuff that was cut. It was, I think, like the TV version of the movie was one of those like in-between edits. So there was a whole bunch of footage, like maybe a half an hour of footage. None of it amounted to anything, but I mention it because part of the montage was actually all of the axe-smashing Satanists at their day jobs. So it's like Stallone shaking down, prostitutes, robots, and then like the Night Stalker carving up a tuna fish at a fishery or something, so it had all these like dudes doing their day jobs.
Stupid fucking knife.
Yeah, exactly. That knife came. There were those knife catalogs. Remember back in the day, you could get like nunchucks and throwing stars and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those knives
Throwing
are straight out of that.
Throwing stars.
Yeah, that knife. Hang on a second about that knife. I got a thing here.
That's not a knife.
That's a knife.
I think that whole robot montage scene was just Brigitte Nielsen or whatever her name is trying to make sure that she got some glamour shots in.
Well, there's a lot going on here. So firstly, let me comment on the knife, if I may.
Yeah,
okay.
Man, you may.
I looked this up. I typed into Google knife from the movie Cobra last night, and what came up was immediately, right at the top, Cobra Knife, officially licensed, one of the most unique and dramatic knife designs ever created. Sylvester Stallone commissioned this knife from legendary knife maker Herman Schneider for the movie Cobra. The knife was featured extensively throughout the movie, used by the evil night slasher character.
There you go.
And there you go.
But this movie must have kicked off the stupid-looking knife thing.
It did. I mean, and also I found a great little video of Brian Thompson talking about that knife, and we can throw that up in the show notes. I'll send it over to you, Chad. So yeah, the knife is like iconic. I remember seeing that knife and being like just scared. I was like, wow, that's really scary looking, and it was. I mean, that thing was crazy looking, especially back then when it was like. I would say most knives were sort of like, the buck knife variety. I don't remember what year Rambo 2 came out, but that was a big like knife thing. And of course, Crocodile Dundee. So we had a lot of knife action going on around these years. And I remember
iconic knives
in the 80s. And
yeah, same year, Dundee, 86.
That was one of them.
Thanks, Jimmy.
What, Rambo was 86?
No, this was 86. Crocodile was 86, and Cobra was 86.
What about Rambo 2? Rambo.
Mr. Jimmy Google, please.
Mr. Jimmy Google, if you please.
First Blood, 82. First Blood Part 2, 85.
Ooh, there you go. Knives. Good times. But we'll throw I'll throw that little interview of Brian Thompson talking about that knife. It was kind of interesting. It's only like a 2-minute video.
Check it out.
Little interview snippet, yeah.
There's so many shots of like that knife being sharpened and
totally
raised in the air and just like
glinting in the light.
It's like Stallone was with the editor like, I think we need to put in a couple more shots of that cool knife.
Stand by.
Guys, hang on a second. Folks, we're going to be getting right back to the nerdery in a second, but I just had to take a quick break because I want to thank everybody so much for tuning into the show. We put a lot of work into it, and we really love doing it. And if you like the show, there's a couple of great ways you can support the show. First, you can rate us and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also tell someone to check out the show. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful, incredibly important, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning into the show, and now back to the mayhem.
I'm convinced that Brigitte Nielsen was like constantly whispering in Sly's year about like I need to be all glam and do a glam photo shoot and make me dress like a model after I get out of a motel in the middle of bumfuck Idaho.
Totally.
Ooh, I like Gonzalez's hat. I need the same hat as him. Can I get one of those?
Oh, dude. Yeah, that was one of my notes, was that she's wearing a jaunty cap.
Yeah, no surprise they were divorced a year later.
No surprise.
No, none whatsoever.
If it's any indication, they have like zero chemistry on screen.
She was perfect though, man. She was the perfect 80s bombshell for this. Like, so bad, it was bad, but kind of good. Ridiculousness.
That's what I mean about the whole movie. That's what I was saying in the beginning. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, she was like great and not great.
Great
like,
and horrible at the same time.
No, I thought she did a good job. Like, I mean, it's Brigitte.
And she was in a film with Arnold as well, Red Sonja.
Yeah, and evidently she had a fling with him on that film.
Whoa. Scandal.
Scandal, man.
Action star scandal.
That's it. And then she married Flava Flav, so she's got good taste in dudes.
Oh, yeah. Really great taste. Really great. And then one of my favorite parts about the robot montage, well, firstly, the montage itself, as Ben said, is just so perfect in its 80s-ness and so utterly confusing. It's like we're going back and forth between robots and Stallone shaking everybody down. And, you know, that really like, you know, kind of heartfelt working man montage song with the raspy voice guy going, working your fingers to the bone, trying to get blood from a stone. Really, really great. Really, really great. I was like, give me a break. You gotta
Serious
love that,
Kung
man.
Fury vibes there.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, God damn it. Dude, totally.
Yeah, having never seen this, man, Kung Fury so thoroughly lifted from this. It's not even funny.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's so funny how we're saying Kung Fury-esque as if Kung Fury came first.
Yeah, it did come first.
I love that.
Sly went back in time on a different timeline to make this movie. GTA and Kung Fury came first.
I'm a cop from the future. Totally. Yeah, so that montage scene is great. And then we get treated to Dan Rasche or Rasche. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but he's most famously known for playing Sledgehammer. It was a detective show that was like a spoof show on cop shows, and I thought it was really funny. I watched it all the time in the 80s. It only ran for 2 seasons, but that was his big claim to fame, and he played the photographer. And the whole exchange they have from the elevator to the time when they almost get killed is just so hysterically funny. It's so like 80s male chauvinist awful. Like, you know, he is trying so hard to sleep with her, and she's just like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. And he is not taking no for an answer.
Not taking the hint at all.
I just want you to be happy. I mean, don't do it for me. Do it for your career.
So creepy.
I'd be crazy not to want to sleep with you.
You know there were dickheads that did that. Casey Neistat did it in Commando. Come on.
That's true, he did. Yo, this used to be a good place for hunt and slash.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that whole exchange between those two is just absolutely priceless, man. I can see that it's going to take some convincing. So where do you want to have dinner? I was like, really, dude?
Before he takes an axe to the chest or whatever the fuck happens to him.
Yeah, I didn't really feel that bad for him to take him under the chest, to be fair.
You know, the security guard comes out of the elevator and she's like, oh my God.
The van just cleans him out.
Yeah, he pulls out his gun, and then Brian Thompson's already in the van, and he goes, kill her. And he sounds like I love Brian Thompson. He's great. He actually played a lot of Star Trek characters too. He played a bunch of Klingons and some other characters on the various Trek shows. But
he was awesome.
He is awesome, and he's like the size of Arnold, man. Like he's easily as big as Arnold, but he definitely had some like Buffalo Bill vibes going sometimes.
Oh, fucking A. I was just looking up to see if he was Buffalo Bill.
No, that was Ted Levine. And Ted Levine was, I'm trying to think what else he was on. He was most notably on Monk with Tony Shalhoub, the TV show. Oh my God, you guys suck.
Tony Shalhoub.
Dude, Monk was a really good show. Anyway, Ted Levine was on that. But no, Ted Levine was not. He was Buffalo Bill.
Roger that.
Oh, was she a great big fat person?
There were never any fucking rails for this one, dude.
All right, we're going to get back on the rails.
He was in Wild Wild West.
Ted Levine?
Yeah.
Or Brian Thompson?
Yeah.
Or Tony Shalhoub.
Or Tony Shalhoub.
Ted Levine.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Everybody IMDb's. All right, come on. Back to the movie.
I love how you're jamming around on IMDb and then telling us we need to get back.
I'm trying to get myself back on to this.
There you go. You know, he gives us that great kill her, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Moving right along. And then we get into protective custody.
That's a fucking fantastic segue, Kev. Can we just pause for a minute? Just how impressive that was. So the hospital scene, maybe, or the car chase. The car chase, man. That 4-point buckle. God damn, that was good.
Yeah, the 4-point harness was amazing, man.
And then they drive into a goddamn boat at the end.
You sure it wasn't a 5-point harness?
Yeah. When they crash, when they crash into that boat, the other car with Brian Thompson in it and that other guy.
Yeah, the car is actually underneath the car when he crashes. Did you see that?
Yeah, but in a couple of the shots, because there's a bunch of cuts right there, the car isn't there. Like you see it underneath the boat and underneath the Merc, and then in some of the other cuts, it's not there. Like it was really, really badly done.
That whole car chase scene was a missed opportunity. Again, another example of just really, really piss poor editing and just like nobody's commenting on anything as it's going on. Like there's no screaming, there's no nothing. It's just like one scene after the other.
Just nonsense.
Yeah, it's just total nonsense.
Was that the car chase where he e-brake slides, turns around, SMGs the shit out of a car, and then turns around again?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is.
That was amazing.
Because the truck pulls out of the truck comes out of the alley. It rams Gonzalez's car, and then it chases after the Cobra car. And that's when the whole sort of chase really gets cooking, because they're following the blue car with Brian Thompson in it, and then the pickup truck with the camper on the back is following them. And he does the 180, and then the submachine gun comes out of literal nowhere, and he's shooting the submachine gun at the truck, and then in classic 80s style, couple of bullets in the thing. Not only does it explode into a fiery ball of shit,
goes up like Nagasaki.
Exactly, goes up like Nagasaki, and also does a full-on front flip too, which is my favorite part.
Somehow,
yeah,
two bullets,
somehow, exactly. A couple of bullets.
Pow! Boom!
No, and you're right. And he is utterly expressionless during that entire sequence. And so is she.
The whole thing. And so is Brigitte Nielsen. Yeah, nobody's affected by it at all.
Like, you would think she would be screaming her face off while he's pulling all these maneuvers. And on top of that, it's like he's doing all this with a civilian in his car.
With a fucking witness in his car.
Right. Well, not only that, a civilian, a witness that he's allegedly trying to protect
yes.
from the night slasher people. And he's putting her arguably in more danger than she's already in, dude.
Right.
Makes perfect sense.
Come on.
Let me ask, is it clear that Brian Thompson is in that car? Is it clear that the night slasher is in there? Because the entire time,
1,000%, yeah.
It is at the beginning, so that's why. All right, because I was like, why the fuck is he it wasn't like they were chasing him; he was chasing them. I'm like, why did he decide to go after them with her in the car?
Okay, so
yeah,
no, you're not unfounded, Ben. So the sequence is that they do show Brian Thompson in the car numerous times. I will give you that the cut
peeping out of a postage stamp size hole in the rear windshield.
Right.
Right, and so what happens is Brian Thompson's car, they're sitting across the intersection, and as they're turning right, he pulls the shotgun out, and with two expertly placed blasts of a sawed-off shotgun across an intersection, he takes out one headlight and then the other headlight. I was like, yeah, okay. And then they speed off, and that's when Cobra starts chasing them.
Right.
And you do see, right before he shoots out the headlights, you do see a very brief shot of him. So you know that it's him, but it could easily be missed, and you wouldn't know that it was him. And I wasn't sure, and then they show him later, and you're like, oh, okay, so
they show him interspersed throughout the chase, but I couldn't. It wasn't like, like it would have made sense if Brigitte Nielsen was like, "That's the guy," and then he chased after him. But that never actually happens, and I'm like trying to remember if it was clear that they saw him in the other car, and that's why he chased after them. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, it's just like he's just going after these guys, like they could be nobodies, and he's like, he destroys his fucking awesome car, and puts Ingrid at massive risk.
It's considerable risk, yes. No, it was because they shot out the headlights on the car, and he knew that it was the night slashers. Because, in the police department, he says, when they're like, well, how do you know? He goes, I just know. And that's it. Nobody questions him after that. They're like, oh, great, okay. Yeah.
I love that bit where the night slasher fires off 2 more perfectly placed rounds and blows up 2 tanker trucks. That was just, like, hysterical.
Oh, that was so excellent, man. through that little teeny hole in the back window.
It's funny stuff.
It's like Ben said. It's just a missed opportunity. It was just really, it was awesome, and there were parts of it that were great, but it was also terrible and a missed opportunity.
I feel like that's a good summary for the whole film, to be honest.
I think that's what this film sort of embodies.
Yeah.
Awesome, yet a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed watching that car chase. I mean, they got up on the sidewalk. They almost ran a couple of kids over. Like, they had a lot of great, like...
definitely a fruit cart got hit, for sure.
Yeah, car chase tropes in there. It was great. He took out... What did you say? He took out the hot dog cart?
Yep, took out the carts.
couple of newspaper machines.
Yep.
Got to have a couple of those flying in the air. All right, so... cover most of that car chase? I mean, it ends sadly in the death of the Merc.
Did we cover most of the car chase? You reenacted the whole fucking car chase, dude.
I didn't. It was Ben.
Oh, that's good.
No, I'm blaming it on Jarheed.
Okay.
He did. We didn't mention that he at some point flicks the nitro switch. Which,
that was true.
Invariably, all vehicles in '80s car chase movies have.
Oh, gotta have that, man. Gotta have that. And there was a sort of going off that. There was a lot of great close-ups in this movie of things like that. Like when he flips the nitro switch, it's like a super zoomed-in macro shot. So we know that it's nitrous for sure. I just love that.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Like there's like, when bottles are like smashing on the ground in the garage or like in the shootout in the cabins, like when some of the glassware gets shot in the room, glassware, it's like super tight close-ups, like it's so ridiculous.
So then I think that this is kind of where the movie kind of went off the rails for me. Cause like the first hour of the film was quite like, I don't know, kind of suspensey and brooding and stuff in the city, and then all of a sudden, like the new area in the map unlocks and they go out to the boonies.
The new area on the map unlocks. Nice.
Yeah, dude, it's straight up like San Andreas, where you're like in the hood with your homies, and then all of a sudden you're like out in the mountains riding freaking dune buggies.
Oh, the bridge is open again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They get that girl on the inside who hilariously looks a lot like my first babysitter named Bobo, so I always thought it was like Bobo versus Stallone, which I really got a kick out of.
Oh, you mean Lee Garlington?
Yeah, she like is the spitting image of like a babysitter that I had when I was like a kid, who my family's still in touch with. So
totally, man.
Seeing my babysitter like jump on Stallone's back and try and kill him and stuff was hilarious.
Yeah, she was really creepy actually, and so was Brian Thompson. Like they were pretty good at being creepy.
Yeah, totally.
They were creepy. It wasn't their fault that we don't know why they were creepy.
Yeah, exactly. That was an editing choice. Exactly. But Lee Garlington is she's a really accomplished actress as well. She's an Emmy-winning actress, and she's been on a ton of TV shows and films and stuff. Yeah, she was on The West Wing for a long time. Yeah, she's really great. And this was one of her first outings.
Yeah, right.
So,
speaking of outings, they went out into the country.
Hey, speaking of outings, now we're out in the country. And we did, I mean, the rest of the movie is like, They go out into they go out to the country. She eats French fries with too much ketchup. The hotel gets blown to shit, and then that's it. It's a giant fight at the end, and he rides off on the motorcycle. I got my own ride.
I always wanted a tougher name, like Alice. Yeah.
So that's it, everybody. Rating?
No, God, no. Okay, so that's what happens in the rest of the movie. There's other little tidbits and parts that are just either awesome or unbelievable. I don't know how many more we want to talk about.
Keep going.
That's the real question, right? The whole gun cleaning pizza with the scissors scene, there's a lot of action right there. When the newscast comes on, though, like, I don't know, man. I started howling when I heard the newswoman, like, rattling off the whole thing about the night slasher. She goes, his victims include businessmen, Asian immigrants, the elderly, and then a sexually assaulted child. I was like, oh my God, man. Like, I was like, who the hell wrote this? That is so awful, man. It's like, it's just so terrible. I mean, it's funny. Like, we starts going on businessmen, Asian immigrants, and then it's like sexually assaulted child. And I was like, wow, did you really need to put that in there? Like, it was terrible, man.
It was well over the top.
Yeah, way over the top. So anyway, I thought that was a fascinating little bit of writing right there.
Speaking of writing, actually, we were talking earlier about the books, and you know how much I like talking about the books. I read
the books.
I read a tidbit that Stallone tried to get the author to reprint the book, but have his name as the author of the book, and she was like, nope. It's like, what, man?
Or he wanted like co-author credit or something.
It's just so funny, though.
No, it is.
Such a big ego.
Well, Paul Hogan did stuff like that too.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. And if you listen to like, and this, I'll just throw this out there for the folks at home too. Like, if anybody out there is fans of How Did This Get Made with Paul Scheer, Jason Mantzoukas, listen to their episode on Crocodile Dundee in L.A. because they actually have one of the writers of the film called in to talk about the movie while they were discussing it, and it is just full of delicious tidbits about Paul Hogan. So
I'll check that out.
Yeah, definitely check that out. But he was like that too, always trying to get writing credit, because when you get writing credit and you're in the Writers Guild, you're basically getting a double paycheck and double royalties on the movie.
Gotcha.
Or triple, depending on the case.
I thought it was just like some weird ego trip cash grab.
It's that too, but it's about making more money, yeah.
Right.
This wasn't about the movie though. It was about the book the book it was based on was republished, and he wanted to get on the, it wasn't like anything like from SAG or whatever. Like, he wanted to like be included as a co-author of the book, not the screenplay or whatever. I mean, he was the author of the screenplay, I guess. So
yeah, for sure.
But that's exactly what makes this particular situation, Ben, so fascinating. Is that he wasn't trying to get double movie credit or royalties. He's trying to get his name on the book.
On a book that he had nothing to do with writing.
Exactly. So weird. And yes, you're right. In that case, a total ego thing.
It's so funny.
I like how we just glanced over we already kind of talked about some of the stuff from the end of the movie, but we didn't really get into any of it.
The motorcycle shootout. The fact that he's got a bunch of frag grenades. Like, where does a cop get a bunch of frag grenades, for Christ's sake?
Yeah, pineapples? What the fuck? Like,
yeah, I agree. And I love how he's carefully removing them from the satchel in the hotel room and like putting the gun together. And I forgot that submachine gun had a foot-long laser sighting on it.
Oh yeah, first iteration.
Awesome, yeah, totally. So good, man. I was so into that laser sighting as a kid. I was like,
I love the 80s gun porn, man. It's just so ridiculous.
Exactly. It is, and we've had so much here on this show, just like the Escape from New York gun, Commando, Raw Deal. I mean, my God.
Yeah, his pearl-handled 1911 Colt with like, I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be like an inlaid Cobra on it, but it sort of just looks like a sticker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And my favorite thing about the handgun was that he always had it tucked into the waistband of his damn jeans. Like,
yeah,
I was like, really? Okay. Never in his holster, on his belt, in, a shoulder holster, nothing like that. It had to be tucked in. You could see it everywhere he went, too.
Yeah, there's one point he's like in public and he's wearing like a trench coat and it's wide open and the gun is just like tucked in there. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
come on.
Did you guys hear that he was supposed to be Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop, but then they nixed him?
Yes, I just read that this morning. I was like, wow, I never knew that.
No, I didn't either. And then this came from his frustration, his blue balls for not playing Foley is what made him come up with this one.
Right, but he actually wrote a lot. He worked on a lot of the script for Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, really?
As well, which I didn't know. Yeah.
Really? I was under the impression that he wanted to like cut out a bunch of the humor.
Okay.
And the writers at large were like, no, we don't, we don't want to do that. So he left the project and made his own, what he thought was his own version of Beverly Hills Cop in Cobra.
Which was vastly different, as we've found out.
Nothing alike.
So we haven't covered the damsel in distress walks into a giant foundry, just like every other action movie. You've got Commando.
Of course.
Alyssa Milano going into her random industrial facility.
Steam room, yep. Totally.
And then you've got...
Terminator 1, Terminator 2. This was the age of final fights in freaking industrial spaces. Like, I don't get it. It was just super weird, right?
Yeah, it was funny, man.
A lot of foundries.
He just turns a random valve on and someone lights on fire and just all this hilarious stuff.
Oh my God. And like how improbable it was that Sly, who is not even 6 feet tall, he's probably, I don't know, probably the same height as you and I, Chad. He lifts Brian Thompson off the ground and impales him on a hook. No effing way.
You shouldn't hang me on a hook, Johnny.
That was pretty awesome, though. I liked that.
Yeah, it was awesome, man, but it was just ridiculous. I was like, yeah, okay.
I love that after that, he's on the hook. He's heading towards a perfectly man-sized, like, opening that is, like, with, like, flame jets coming from all angles from it. Like, I don't know what that would be for other than roasting a dude.
Exactly. That was exactly my thought as well. It's like, yeah.
But he hangs him on the hook. He's heading towards this thing. And then they don't fucking show him catch. Like, they just show his feet catching on fire. Like, like they don't show it. Like,
well, the other thing that's funny about that, Ben, is that, like, the buildup from when he pushes him and the hook to the time it takes like 5 minutes for him to get there. And the whole time he's like, yeah. And Stallone's just staring at him, sweating,
So much sweat in this movie.
Dude, and how about like how Brian Thompson, like half the time you see him, he's like clean and like, smooth looking. And then the other half of the time he's like just covered in grease and sweat and filth. I was like, I don't understand what's going on here with this guy.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. There's a huge build up to him going into that flame thing, and like they just don't show it. I guess that probably got cut.
Oh, it probably got cut because it's difficult to like, put like an actual living actor through fire in a fire suit, and have the guy like acting whilst doing that. No.
Well, I mean, he lights a dude on fire earlier in the, like.
Yeah, you're right.
He lights a dude on fire earlier in that scene. So why they decided not to show that, I have no idea. Especially with all the buildup. It's like somebody just gave up on editing, They're like, yeah, fuck it, whatever.
Well, yeah, no, you're right, dude. Because there's two huge buildups in this movie, if anything. It's when is he going to use that goddamn match? And is Brian Thompson going to get what he's got coming to him? And, he lights the match. And you're right. He totally lights that dude on fire. And I mean, it's like we see the whole thing. But then when the villain of the movie, it's his turn, we don't see anything. You're totally right about that.
They don't show anything. It's fucking
it's
so weird.
So stupid, dude.
It's like the stunt didn't go off, so they're just like, yeah, whatever. We don't have the money to do it again. Or like,
Yeah, exactly. And then I love how like right after that, Brigitte Nielsen comes down the stairs and he's like, come on, let's get out of here.
That's exactly what I wanted to jump on, was like the 80s trope of like the dude just killed 75 people and the girl's like, you're so hot, let's go.
Yeah, oh totally.
Like, what kind of crazy talk is that, man? Like, The amount of times an action star just mass murders people, and the sidekick woman who he's supposed to be in love with by the end of the film is just like so smitten. Like she just they both just sat there watching this guy get lit on fire. Nobody else got to see it, but they did, and it's just, she's like, okay, let's go get a burger. I want to drown my fries in ketchup. It's just so ridiculous that it makes it hilarious.
It is. And so true. You're right. That happens in so many movies. It's just like
every movie, man.
It's ridiculous. They're just like everything becomes a throwaway. Where they're like, yeah, let's just get out of here.
It always reminds me of like the Seagal movies, because I always found Seagal really, like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like unattractive. Like he's just such a slimeball looking dude, and he always ends up with these like red hot 90s actresses, and he's just like,
yeah, like Kelly LeBrock.
He's like murdering people with like pool balls in socks, and the girl's like, oh, you want to go on a date sometime? It's like, what the hell crack are you smoking?
Oh my God. We need to do two things. We need to do a Seagal movie, and we need to do a Van Damme movie.
Oh, we totally do.
And I feel strongly that if we do a Seagal movie, we have to do Out for Justice, because him with that ridiculous Italian accent and that whole thing in that movie, pool balls and socks and everything, like that will be a complete spazzy nerd fest of deliciousness.
And I think to anyone listening that wants to chime in with their preferred Van Damme movie, I would love to hear what you guys would like to see.
Yeah, I would love to see. I'd like to hear that too.
I hope it's not Cyborg.
Oh my God.
All you're doing is setting up a Bodie McBoatface, man. Now it's gonna be Cyborg.
Cyborg!
Totally. Oh my God. There's a terrible movie out there. I of course have never seen it, but I've seen the trailer. It's called Manborg.
Whoa.
Oh boy.
Bjorn Borg.
Yeah. Bjorn Borg. That's the sequel. It's the sequel to Bjorn Borg and Cyborg. It's a trilogy. Cyborg, Bjorn Borg, and then Manborg.
Borg? Sounds Swedish.
And to be woke, I want to make sure that I say that when I said you guys, I meant guys and gals.
Yes, of course.
Chime in with your favorite Van Damme movie of choice.
Movie o' choice. Yeah, good times. You know, there was another great, I mean, we've talked about many bits in this movie, but I love at the end in the cabin shootout. So, like, Stallone is, like, we learn, obviously, he's an expert marksman because he does 4 bullets, takes out 4 of the motorcycle guys. And then, like, you know, I loved when the motorcycle came busting through the door of the cabin. That was fantastic.
Yep. That was good.
And then on top of that, Gonzalez is like shooting people from his cabin, and then it lights on fire. He jumps through the window. He's okay. And then there's like a super lame shootout between him and one of the motorcycle guys. He gets shot in the leg and starts like crawling on the ground to the back of the place. Stallone runs outside and he's like, Tony! And he's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, he's gone.
I was like, dude, this is like your bro, man. And you're just going to yell his name twice, and you're like, he's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure he's all right.
Okay.
We got to get out of here.
It's okay. I'm going to buy him some gummy bears later.
Yeah, he's probably taking a nap or something.
He's probably eating some more of that junk food.
It's probably in a diabetic coma. It's all right.
There you go. Exactly. From all the powdered donuts he's eating. So, at any rate, have we picked all the meat off of this?
Pretty much. He gets on his motorcycle and rides off with the girl.
There's a lot left, but yeah, we could go on all day about it.
Not really, though. No, I mean, there's not really that much left. It's like, you know, the cabin shootout. We covered that. I talked about at the beginning how, like, there's so many motorcycles go down during that cabin shootout. It's just fantastic.
I love that, you know, the New World decides that the way they're going to go and get them is they're going to get a posse of motorcycles together.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
And they're going to wait until it's like 9 a.m. It's like, has everybody had their breakfast? Everyone's ready to go and kill these guys? Yeah, everyone ready? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You got your warm jackets on?
We'll meet out front in 5. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay, yep.
Yeah, don't forget your towels.
Yep, wear your gloves because it's a little cold out. You don't want to, you know, catch a cold.
Somehow nobody notices, like, you know, a gang of people on all these mismatched motorcycles, you know, cruising with, you know, all kinds of weapons, and just doesn't get picked up on at all.
No, and nobody is suspicious of said activity, Ben.
No, not at all.
But from my vantage point, it was like Stallone spends all night cleaning the gun. She says, come over and bang me. And, like, I expected the action scene to happen then. I expected it to be like they kiss and then shit lights up.
Yeah, me too.
But instead, it's like next morning, they're like, he's out in the front porch smoking a fucking lung dart, stretching or something. And it's like, we should probably hit the road. And they're like packing up, getting ready to go. And all of a sudden, the posse rolls through and he's like, everybody back inside. It's like, what are you thinking, man? Like, you're going to get back in your shitty cabin for 40 people to surround and like light on fire or something? Like,
Yeah, I never got that either. I was like, what? Why would they go back inside it? And then he, even on top of that, says to Gonzalez, get back in your house.
Right?
Or get back in your room. And I was like, why would you have him go to a separate cabin? Wouldn't you all want to be together?
I don't know. It was funny.
I don't know.
And then for some reason, Lee Garlington is with them. And they both are like, Gonzalez is like, well, I always hated that bitch.
Right?
And everybody's like, me too. Like, why? Like, you never seemed to be despicable in any case before. Like,
well, yeah, they cut all that out of the movie. The only indication that they knew anything about Lee Garlington was when Stallone confronts her at the payphone, and he's like, "Why don't you use the phone in your room?" And she's like, "Oh, it's broken." It's like, okay. So then the next day they see her talking to the people in the pickup truck when the motorcycles show up, and then they do exactly what you just said. Oh, I always hated that bitch.
Yeah, but there's no reason for them to say that. Like, it's like her and Gonzalez are like rolling around all the time together. They seem to get along just fine. Like, it wasn't like they were like arguing with each other the entire time.
Totally.
I always hated that bitch.
Yeah, exactly. I know that was a little ridiculous. And again,
I too also hated that bitch.
I too also. I love it. That's pretty funny, Ben, when you try to do like Stallone, but speaking like perfect grammar.
Jolly good.
That was not perfect grammar, but yeah.
No, you know what I mean? Like,
so are you saying you want to see Stallone do like Midsummer's Night's Dream or something?
Yeah, kind of. That's my thing. I'm thinking like you have that going on in a Stallone voice.
Maybe like Baz Luhrmann should do a new Shakespeare with Stallone as the lead, like Hamlet or some shit. I'd watch the hell out of that.
Exactly. I would watch the hell out of that.
Yeah.
We ready for nuggets?
Yeah, go for it. Lay out your nuggets, man.
I had 3 nuggets, and I told one early on, which was the ending was supposed to be Monte as the head of the cult or whatever it is. One really funny one was that the Night Slasher's monologue in the Terminator Foundry, when he's speaking to Cobra, Stallone was watching a basketball game, and he was actually just like doing it with some script girl because Stallone was too busy watching b-ball, which I thought was quite funny.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dead serious.
Oh my God.
And then my other nugget.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it's to be expected though. It sounds like he's a complete asshat, but whatever. One of the other ones was name related, where it was saying like how most action heroes were called John, like John Rambo, John Matrix, John McClane, and the hero of this one's named Marion after John Wayne. So I thought that was kind of a cool little nugget. All Johns all the way down.
Ooh, that is a cool nugget. Wait, Marion after John Wayne? I don't get it.
John Wayne's name was Marion.
That's cool.
I did not know that.
I like that. That's very cool.
A little nod.
The Duke.
Definitely a nod.
And that's it. Them's my nuggets.
Wow, that's it. Okay, that was good. Working your fingers to the bone.
We ready to rate?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Kev, why don't you go first, man?
Oh, God. Okay.
Just so you can't copy Jarhigo.
Well, yeah, but Jarhigo will just copy me. That's fine.
Oh.
Cobra. So how do I rate this movie? I'm going to stand by what I said at the beginning. This movie is at the same time terrible and really awesome. There are some things I didn't mention in the episode were that there's some great sound design in terms of the sound effects, and the music was actually good. We didn't talk about the score at all.
I liked it.
But I liked it too, and I thought it really added tension. And, there are parts of it where, like in the garage, the parking garage after the photo shoot, like it's really intense and it's pretty scary. And I'm not surprised at all that this movie had like an X rating to begin with. Like, it's pretty damn violent. And, the end fight between him and Brian Thompson is pretty damn good. And yeah, there's some missed opportunities there, but there's some great action sequences as well. And it's really half action movie, half slasher pick, sort of. And now knowing that a lot of this was left on the cutting room floor, it's kind of disappointing because I think it would have been even better. Like, it is listed as a cult classic, and there's no doubt about that. It is, but I think it would have been, could have been even better. It's a lot of things, and that's why I'm going to give it a high rating. It's like great and terrible and just bizarre, and some of the choices are weird and all of that, man. But it's like, this is like the heyday of like Stallone 80s action. I mean, come on, man. It's just great. It's good fun too, man. I mean, at the very least, if you watch it and you can't get past all that other stuff, it's just a fun movie to watch because it's so ridiculous. So I'm going to go ahead and give this movie an 8.5.
Yeah, nice.
So
here we go. I can't wait to hear what he's going to say.
So when your expectations are already low and you're disappointed anyways, there's not much else to say. This gets some points because there's some nostalgia wrapped around it, and the few things it does get right, it gets right. But it's so jankety. There's so many jankety jump cuts and poorly filmed action sequences and just missed opportunities all over the show.
And bad edits, yeah.
Really bad edits. There's some good acting. Who played the Night Slasher again? His name is escaping me. Brian Thompson was awesome. Like super creepy. Great. But it doesn't save it, There's just so much. And I wasn't expecting much from it either, but like I had a hard time choking through this one.
Wow.
I did. It just wasn't, maybe I'll watch it in a year and it'll get me. But this time around, not at all. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5.
Holy shit.
Saliva covered. Hold on.
Sorry.
Saliva covered chewed up matches. Thank you.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
Love it, man.
I would give it 2.5, but you can't have maybe it's 2 saliva covered chewed up matchsticks and 1 half a burnt one.
There you go. the used one from the end,
There you go. You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah. This is the first, I think this is probably the first one where Jarhigo and I have differed so much on our opinion of a film.
Not a bad thing.
We're usually pretty synced up. No, it's not a bad thing at all. I just find it interesting.
Yeah, I'm riding on Jarhigo's motorcycle on this one.
Wow.
Not in the sense that I had a hard time choking it down, but more in the sense that both this and Raw Deal were first viewings for me, and I really quite enjoyed Raw Deal, and I found it kind of delightful and just ridiculous. And I suppose this one didn't delight me, but I got a few chuckles out of the ridiculousness of it, so it just, for me, wasn't as well executed, I guess. And my algorithm, as everybody knows, is broken. Was broken by John Wick, so it's a little hard to figure out where everything falls in that. But the kind of 2.5 out of 5 is essentially the definition of borderline, and I kind of am riding on that motorcycle. So in the out of 10 scale, a 4 is a borderline movie. So I'll give this one I don't know. I'm a little torn because most of the very low 4s are a lot of the shittier MCU movies, and I kind of feel like this movie, even though it's quite bad, it's better than a lot of the shitty MCU movies because they're just kind of shitty modern day, squeeze a star-shaped chunk of Play-Doh out of a Play-Doh fun factory, samey bullshit,
Yeah.
It's like they should be better, but they're not.
It's like they should be better by definition. Yeah.
Yeah. Half of the MCU is great, but the other half of it is just kind of like whatever. But anyways, I'm going to give it a 4.1, which makes it a borderline movie.
Yeah, I listen, I totally get why you guys rated it low, And I'm sure nostalgia plays a huge part for me. This is like a big movie for me when I was a kid. I was like, oh, yeah, laser sighting.
I could totally see that.
But yeah, it makes total sense. And Ben, you're 1,000% right. It is totally jankety.
One of the main things that really bothered me is the lack of like motivation for anything that's going on screen. Like, and that's, I know like action movies don't necessarily have to have that, but I think they're better when they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, just jankety all around, and not in a way that made me like laugh constantly as I was watching it.
Mm-mm. Not like in Raw Deal. No.
I had a few laughs, but not as many as Raw Deal.
I definitely chuckled a couple of times, but
oh yeah, me too.
It wasn't, sometimes when you're watching that so bad it's good movie, it's bad and you're laughing at it because it's bad. And this wasn't necessarily doing that for me. Like, there were a couple laughs in it, but mostly I was just baffled. I was just baffled the entire time. Like, huh? Why is... all right.
It's fair enough.
So, folks, we hope you enjoyed our conversation about Cobra, the 80s classic. And now it's time for what's become one of my favorite parts of the show, which is asking C-Lab Forever what we will be getting into next week.
So we've had this one on the back burner for a while, and we had a listener chime in with a request. Names will be named next week, but Chronicles of Riddick. We're going to do our first Vin Diesel.
Oh, that's right. I already watched it this week.
You're going to watch it 4 more times.
You know I am.
He's going to spaz out.
Oh, yes.
It's just so damn good.
It's a good movie. We'll talk about it.
Ah, good God. It's hard
You just
for me
want to talk about it now, huh? You're like, I watched it. I want to talk about it now.
I do, and I'm trying to hold it back. It's tough.
Can we do a segment?
So there you have it, folks. Chronicles of Riddick next week. We're going to start with that, talk about the Riddick movies, I think. And so stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I just want to say thanks for tuning in, putting up with us for this, spaz out episode, certainly for me. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Oh, bye.
Nice. And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Chronicles of Riddick, starring Vin Diesel, a favorite film of all of ours. And folks, don't forget to stay tuned in a couple of weeks. We've got our number 50 show coming up. It's going to be exciting. So tune in for that. It's going to be Big Trouble in Little China, starring Kurt Russell, a favorite of all of ours.
Call me Pliskin.
Call me Snake, even though it's Jack Burton.
Call me Pliskin.
Anyway, you can find the show notes for today's episode in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/48. You can ask us questions using the Twitter hashtag AskEBD. You can find me at Molverine on Twitter. You can find Chad at ChadNormal on Twitter. And you can find Jarhigo at Jarhigo on Twitter. What a shocker. I'd like to take a minute and thank you all so much for tuning into the show. It means the world to all of us. This is how we grow our audience. And if you'd like to support the show, there are a bunch of great ways you can do it. First, by rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also, you can tell someone to check out the show. Word of mouth is super powerful and incredibly important. So get out there and start gabbing. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.